We could really spend a whole season on just this chart because it's just that good, but we'll find out soon enough that we have to refer to other charts for things, and that's how they advance. So C cross E cross G. Okay, I'm going to put Mr. Capo on because we're in the key of C and we're in the C box, so we can access things because the warp has brought 7 root 2 over to us. The E string shape right there, and then the C string shape 3, 4, 5, which is the same as the bottom string. Notice we're less concerned with octaves here and just with chord fragments and what is their shape. So we have here, we have a fairly negative shape, a half step into a whole step, whereas in the G shape right here, we have a kind of a positive step here, 6 to 7, a whole step and a half step. So I call this a negative, this is a positive. But we also have the positive A there in the longs, but 3 longs is kind of like the scary ones. When I first started doing the long patterns, and remember, longs up here are like 4, 5, 6. That's pretty much the scariest long. Why? Because that's the Locrian string shape. Okay, and the Locrian is kind of a scale where if you play it right, it sounds wrong. Same thing with Lydian, rather. That's the Lydian scale shape, by the way. Sorry, the Locrian scale shape is 7 root 2. That I found the most trouble with the string shapes. D I found easy, but I found it difficult to realize I was playing a D. Same thing with G. I found it, oh, it's a G. I didn't realize that a G was there. When you got to make that whole step, you got to know it's going to be a whole step, because if you just bend it up or just do a half step, it's wrong unless it's supposed to be a C string shape or an E string shape, right? So let's look at that substitution. We have a C shaped C, we have an E shaped F, and we have a G shaped G. Okay, so pentatonically we have the C shape C. We can do the diatonic in the C shape. But when we substitute, we have to use pentatonic substitution. And that'll give us the major and the minor within that scale. So let's look at E. Now you got to shape fit it. You got to shape fit it so you know that the E shape is going to start here. So it's pentatonic of the E shape. Let's go over to the E shape here. Where's my E shape hiding? Right here. So it's going to be root 2, 3, 4, 6, root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2. Notice I'm off the bar there. I'm off the capo. That's the fourth. Okay, now obviously, the arpeggio is part of that. So if you do the pentatonic, sounds great, right? But what if you wanted to do the minor chord? What is the minor chord? It's going to be one shape advanced from the E shape. So it's going to be the D minor shape. Right there. Now if we want to do that D minor arpeggio, it would have to be 6 root 3, right? So you start from the root. It's kind of going to be second, what inversion is it? Root 6 root 3, so it's going to be root 3, 6, first inversion. So the you have to remember that the E shape, the relative minor is first inversion. Okay, so it's root 3, 6. It's root 3, 6, 3, 6, root. Okay. And the major is what? It's root 3, 5, root 3, 5, root. That's why we bar it. So we're going to substitute that shape into here. Okay, and then for the fifth, similarly, we're going to substitute the G shape, which is right next door. So they're in fifths. The fifth of C is G. Okay, but the fourth of if we want to go to the fourth of the C shape is the E shape, which we were just playing right over here. Remember, C goes to E, because that's the only weird part about the cage system. So, you know, I actually have heard people teaching this new method. So it looks kind of like a bad dream of a chart that I made. You know, where they use the same explanations, and sometimes I realize those explanations are supporting explanations. They're not necessarily the sole reason or the best reason. And I hear people saying that. At least on one video I saw, somebody said something about, oh, there is no, you know, the fifth of E is B, but there is no B in caged. You know, that was kind of like just a side remark. You know, they didn't really mean that to be the reason. The reason is because the E shape goes to the C shape. Okay, like that. That's a better reason than saying, sorry, there is no B in caged. But there is now. We have the longer patterns here. So let's back this up. This is how we do it. In the fifth, we also, in the G, so advance one from G, C, A, G, E, we got an E minor shaped third there. So again, with the C, it's so easy. You just go C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and up to C again. And the half diminished, I like to look at it as a form of a C chord. It starts on the fourth if you want. Right here, the sixth, if we wanted to hit that sixth, kind of eerie like that. There's the second on the G string, B string, D string. All right, there's your half diminished arpeggio there. You can mess around with that. I like to look at it as a modified C shape. If we're just going to drop the C shape, it's 5 root 3. 5 root 3 is your C shape. So we drop the root to 7. We drop the 5 to the 4. What it really is a C minor shape. If you started it here, okay, and actually it's a C minor shaped B minor. Drop the F sharp to the F. It's B half diminished, or B diminished. So let's back up the you know, the things we've done to the chart and move along here. I guess we want to talk about the long pattern cutouts. So I want you to see that these are long cages, and you can substitute those pentatonics. Okay, so you would substitute the pentatonic for EAC. It's going to be the same thing. Okay, it should be. So let's just look at it. The A shape, if we started it here, it would be, you know, it's going to be 5, 6, it's going to have that A shape. So here's the A shape. You can see it. It's practically an A shape. Now this doesn't happen all the time, but I'm just showing you for example. This is an A shape. Okay, and yeah, the pentatonics kind of look like what they are. This thing kind of looks like an E. You know, it just kind of looks like an E there. You know, kind of looks like an E like that. And some of the other ones, believe it or not, they actually do kind of look like what they are. Okay, so what's going on here? All right, we have a little problem. So So I'm just showing you about chord shapes here. The D shape kind of looks like a D. If we go down to the D shape here, it's the only one that has this split two longs here, this S2L, split S2L. So it kind of looks like a D there, like that. Do we get to draw a squiggly line? I don't know if we could draw a squiggly line, but yeah, it just kind of looks like a D there. You see, 2, 3, 5, 6 root 2, 3, 5, 6 root, that kind of thing. But that's what I'm talking about with the shapes. Okay, so if we've got E cross A cross C, we want to do the E shape long now. How are we going to substitute the A shape there? We're going to the 5 becomes the root. In this case, it's easier, right? So the pentatonic, I'm going to play it down where I have it. Root 2, 3, 5, 6. We're pretty much just going to finish off with that D pentatonic and play away. Root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2, 3. There, I just played a minor and a major arpeggio, which is the root. I just played the root and the minor 6th arpeggio there. But if we want to call that bottom string the A, which is the 5th, we're going to go 5, 5, 6. Okay, skip 7, 5, 6, root 2, 3. All right, and then we're going to skip over to A goes to G. So we're just going to finish up on the G here. 5, 6, root 2, 3, 5, 6, root. So here's our regular G. Alright, so in long patterns, it's different, but in long patterns, unless we're doing diatonic, we're pretty much just going to start the long pattern down here where we've got to deal with some long patterns, root 2, 3 there. Instead of root 2, 3 in the normal, maybe the normal E shape, say we're doing it in E, root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2. Okay, we're going to have to deal with root 2, 3, 5, 6. Remember with the long patterns and pentatonic shows of root 2, 3. You get that whole thing. The 5, 6 is you take the inners, and with the 4, 5, 6 Lydian, you take the outers. Now the 5th is going to be a C shape. We're simply going to be playing this C shape right over here. Where is it? A mile away right here. Here's our C shape. We're going to play a C shaped pentatonic. Well, we could go ahead and do this. If we want to stick to the longs, we can go 3, 5, 6 root 2, 3, but then go into a long 5, 6, not playing the 7. So it's 5, 6 root 2, 3, 5. So really there is no long C, because it doesn't have to be, because the tuning warp has made C a perfectly square box. That's why, you know, C is the best shape to play for beginners, because you got everything in the box. See, without going down here to get anything like in the A box. Okay, so that's how we would do it. And there's even another method where when you go look at the string above it, that's going to be its 5th. Okay, so notice we have a C above it, and look at the string below it, it's going to be its 4th. Notice we went to the A shape 5, 6, 7, so you just play that shape starting, you know, at the move this shape to over here and start 5